What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another news video. In this one, we're talking about the changes that have been made to the way that, or whatever the requirements are, when entertainers, actors, idols, TV broadcasters, presenters, just about anybody who is in the entertainment industry, when they're how they operate regarding their conscription, their military enlistment. So just to base outline what the changes have been, just like the two main ones as far as I've seen reported, is that number one is that they become eligible, of course, when they turn 18, as everybody does, but when they get called to enlist, they basically don't have, their deferments have been, the way that they can defer their enlistment has been changed a little bit, and there have been more restrictions that have been put on that. And number two is that there have been restrictions that have been put on place as to like where they get placed, what service they get placed in. So, kind of so that you don't get like, Top getting to put his feet up in a, Gangnam police station. So we get avoid situations such as that. So just like understandably, the reaction to this, as far especially with international fans, has been quite dramatic because just the way that it's worded or the way that it's been presented and reported kind of makes it seem that like, hey, BTS could get called off to enlistment tomorrow or next month, and that will be pretty disastrous for their career, right? So that is something to note, and that is actually relatively important to kind of think about, but it's not really like that dramatic. The sky isn't falling quite as much as people are making it out to be. So international fans are freaking out, and as far as what I've seen from people who are Korean themselves or have like a closer understanding of like what Korean people actually think about this stuff, is that one is just like more obviously rational, I would say. So and granted, I just don't know so much because I don't have, that exposure, but they're like, this, it just isn't as dramatic as everyone's making it out to be. And two, I do know that there was a general sentiment that where, people, younger people, of course, who are, of age to be enlisted or recruited into the military, are not really big fans of doing their service these days, and they definitely don't have a very positive attitude towards celebrities who go off and then seemingly get preferential treatment over them, who don't get treated as the average person. And so basically what this boils down to is that the changes have been made so that entertainers don't get preferential treatment anymore, so it makes them more like the average person. So basically, let's get into a little bit more detail as to, what these changes even mean. So number one, as I said, is, kind of restrictions and changes to how they can defer their enlistment. So what that basically means is that they can't defer their enlistment until their late 20s anymore, because obviously, as the contract that they've got with their companies, 7 years from when they debut. And so what that means, or what it's happened in a lot of instances, is that they've basically been like, look, we're under contract with this company. We can't do anything until this contract is expired. So they get to defer until the end of their contract. So they can't do that anymore. So that means that, when they're 20 years old and they get called, they can't be like, look, I still got 5 more years on my contract. I still got 7 more years on my contract with this company. I can't go until that's done. Basically, they just have to go as soon as they possibly can. So if they're in the middle of promoting a song, they got to wrap it up and then go. They got like what normally people I think have like 4 or 6 weeks to report, for training or whatever. So it's really just been like, you guys have got 4 or 6 weeks, whatever reasonable amount of time to wrap up whatever business that you're conducting, and then you have to go. So that of course brings the whole deferment issue, so that they're not like, taking care of business, doing as far as their careers and stuff like that. It just puts them more on a level playing field as everybody else, because of course the argument that a lot of people are making is that, well, the entertainers and stuff, their careers are only good for like 10 years while they're in their 20s, and if they have to interrupt that for 2 years right in the middle of their career, then it's really going to damage them. But on the flip side, a lot of younger people, of course, have to put off their, whatever they're doing with their lives, delay things like that for 2 years while they go off and do their service as well. So it has effects on everybody's lives. It has effects on, basically how they can progress in their career. Like, it just is the way that it is. Of course, maybe the effects you can say that the effects are more dramatic on entertainers, but you do have also an effect on just the average person who, might have to leave in the middle of college, or leave just after they graduate from college, before they can even get a job. It just makes the whole dynamic as far as, that how that all operates is different from, from the normal person, from, person such as myself, to an entertainer. And it just kind of brings that difference much closer. So that is that. And number 2 is, right, like the restrictions or changes to how they get placed in whatever branch of the services. And so from what I've read and what I remember, I'm just recalling this, even though I wrote a bunch of stuff down as to reference this, is that when they enlist, they kind of get into, they do get, classified as an entertainer, musician, whatever. So just based off of that, they do get some preferential treatment as to where they get assigned, generally into more favorable and easier positions. This is from my understanding. I might be completely wrong. So if I'm wrong, then drop it down in the comments. Just yell at me and tell me I'm wrong. I will admit that I could be wrong about that. So they're basically just, again, from my understanding, is that whole thing has been removed. So they don't have a designation as an entertainer where other people do not. So they just don't have, there is no distinction that is being made as far as paper records or anything like that between, who is who, what their profession and what their career is. It doesn't matter. Everyone is regarded equal. So that means that whoever has, just as likely of a chance to go into the front lines, or whatever, as they do, is serving in a police station in Gangnam. That's just the way that it works now. So that, of course, levels the playing field in that regard as well. So now, in theory, you're less likely, as people said, to have YG Entertainment, whoever, pull some strings and get their perfect, their one of their big name idols in an easy post that is cake. You can basically participate and still hang around with YG Entertainment if you want to. But, but ultimately, right, and this is the thing, is maybe this doesn't even mean a goddamn thing, right? That's really the key, because one, as with a lot of things that happen with politics, all over the world, it's these little teeny tiny changes, they might not actually mean a goddamn thing, because it doesn't even matter. It might just be posturing or whatever to gain favor with the general populace, because, of course, it's a really popular thing is to be idols, you don't get favorable preferential treatment when you join the military anymore, because people kind of have there's a large, sense of resentment towards entertainers from the average person, because average person doesn't get the treatment and, favorable postings as frequently. They just have no choice over that. But, there is the perception that idols do get preferential treatment. Also, on the flip side of that is that's just because this stuff has been put into place does not mean that the corruption is going to go away. So YG Entertainment could be hey, politician person, whoever is in charge of assigning these people to wherever they're going. If you do this for me, I'll do something for you in return. Maybe that's going to be a thing, right? But on the flip side, if this actually is something that takes effect and is seriously enforced, then it very well could have some, I wouldn't say big impacts, but it could have some very interesting impacts on what is going to happen with future boy groups. So, of course, the two options that I've got in my mind here are that more companies are going to go with the NCT model that doesn't have a set in stone lineup. So, someone can go off to serve, do their time in the military, and they can be replaced by some other person because there is no set lineup. Everyone can just be rotating in and out, free form. So there is no issue. You experience that a lot with groups that do go. Is one member goes, or everybody goes, or half the group goes, and then the group is gone for 2 years, and you get solo releases that come out. So that thing could change. And then the other aspect, which I would imagine, I personally would go this way if I was running a company, that could happen is that as soon as idols or trainees turn 18, that's when the company says, you got to go enlist. We will come back when you're 20 or 21 or whatever, and then you can debut then. So that basically is going to, of course, mean that, you know, the boy groups are going to be debuting later, but that does mean that they're going to get a good solid 9 years, you know, 9 years of uninterrupted time in the industry. And that definitely could be, you know, the way to go. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows if this actually even means a damn thing? It probably doesn't, or it could. I don't know, but we'll just have to see how it goes. So that's my little breakdown. That's kind of my, you know, discussion. I don't really think that this is super crazy. You know, it's just is a thing, and it very well might not mean anything. It might just be politicians doing what politicians do, and, you know, enacting weak laws that they're not really even going to enforce, just so that people will like them for a short amount of time and then hate them afterwards, because people hate politicians. So that's just my little breakdown of the situation there. I don't know, maybe this is interesting. Maybe you have some new information or some different information, and maybe you can clarify some points that I just don't understand, because obviously my country does not have conscription. We are a volunteer professional army. So, you know, maybe you can help me out with understanding all of the intricate details of this, because I just got a really basic overview of the situation here. So, you know, leave your thoughts and comments regarding the situation, any further details and corrections that you want to make with me because I was wrong, down in the comments below. You know, discuss it. You know, whether you agree with what I say, or whether you, I don't know, agree or disagree with anyone down in the comments below. You know, the community here is meant to be a place for free and friendly discussion, you know, regardless of, you know, difference of opinions or anything like that. So if, you know, that's a community that you are interested in becoming a part of, if that sounds cool to you, then click on that subscribe button right down there so that you can join the community and become a part of the discussion at some point in the future. So that is going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.